Okay, so a much better showing in the European RMRs, top 15% at the moment. As long as Agile doesn't absolutely ruin it for us, I'll be happy if I finish in the top 20 to top 10%. That is ideal. Agile almost did ruin it, to be fair. I had to use my chicken out booster. Finally got a good activation off of that. Cloud9 with the secret sauce. Overall, can't complain. Let's take a look at Group B, because this one's very interesting just due to the distribution of teams in this group. So let's dive in. So this group is a very interesting one, right? Because it feels very bottom heavy in that we've only got a couple of tier 1 teams like G2, Spirit, Eternal Fire, and Heroic. And then I'd say there's like a little gap if we got your VPs, your Astralises, maybe your bigs, and then the rest, it's kind of like this slew of tier 2 teams who can all upset in these best of ones. So I think it's kind of hard to take a lot of stock from this generation here, but I would say the 3-0, 3-1, fairly accurate. I think once you're looking at these results, though, I think anyone can beat anyone here. So let's take a look at how I would rank these teams. I think Spirit, G2, both, one of those teams goes 3-0, definitely. Heroic and Eternal Fire, I think that they either go 3-1 or one of them might even go 3-0, definitely possible. Now with the B tier, you might be, this is where maybe my takes get a little different. I cast a fair bit of tier 2 guys, so I kind of have some bespoke takes when it comes to these teams, because I know a lot of people are hyping up, say, Passion Yue, for instance, but I think they're a little too fresh. Yes, Jambo is very good, but from what I've seen, a little inconsistent, and I'm worried about their performance on LAN, so I don't have stock in them here. I have a lot of faith in Nine Pandas. I love this team. I love their play style. I think since the swap bringing in Resold over Clax, they've looked so good. I love the way they play, and I think they have a cool veto against a lot of teams here too. So I rate Nine Pandas a lot. I think Astralis still has enough skill in their team with Bro there, even without device, that they'll scrape through just about. And I know everyone's already big on bait, so I won't go too much into that, but I think that maybe they're one to not really go too hard on here, just because I think a lot of people will be treating them like an upset team and might be picking them. So they're kind of the more hyped tier 2 team here. I also want to say Sashi is a team that I like a lot. I think that they've been really good this year. I liked them as espionage at the start of the year. I think Lucky has been really, really good for them. But again, a team that can lose to anyone. So I think they might sneak their way through, but I don't have 100% faith. And then Aurora, I've got very low stock in. Paravision, again, this team has just not been happening. And NIP, they're NIP. 3D Max is a team that I guess also has a chance to break through. But again, there's just so much, it's so hard to call most of these matchups that I would stick to the S and A and maybe a dip into B or C at a push. So straight up, guys, Snacks is in like 40% of teams, so by not picking him, you're already giving yourself a leg up on almost everyone else. Snacks is the worst player you can draft this event. Do not draft Snacks. That's my biggest tip. Any of the other G2 players, pretty good. I wouldn't double up on G2 personally with their price points, but I think Nico and Hunter are the two that stand out with their prices. For Spirit, Chopper's an okay IGL to get if you do want to get one, just because he can frag out, definitely more than Snacks can. But Zontix is the one that stands out the most. I don't think there's anything wrong with going Shiro or Donk, but Magix is way overpriced. Donk's actually maybe a better choice than Monacy, in my view, but yeah, I think Spirit are all pretty good price except for Magix. I think for Heroic, it's similar. You got good value across the board here, except for Kickstand, who again I think is a little too expensive when you've got some tier 2 players at similar prices. But I think Nerts, Tessus, and Dexter are all good. I think Maja is an IGL that is probably worth getting. I think at his price, he can definitely perform quite well. Wicardia is obviously a good choice and very popular. I think Woxic is also great. Centaurus, if you want one of a more valuable gold, could be a better choice than, say, Donk. I don't know if he's better than Nico, though. Maybe just because he's not as picked as Nico, he could be. For Astralis, I think Bro and Stare are the only players I would touch here, just because they're a little risky without device. But I think that Stare for 195 feels pretty good. You know my feelings about VP, but use your discretion. They're all very similar prices. I think Electronic's too expensive. For bait, I think the only players I'd be too keen on are Hedrick and MPL. I think that Alex struggles when it comes to LAN. Essential's just not that great. Captain Kirker could be an okay choice, but yeah, I think it's got to be Hedrick or MPL. Just grab one of them, probably MPL. The 3D Max, it's kind of similar. I just feel like they're too expensive for their chances of getting through. Maybe Jocko was a little cheapy. I think he's got pretty good headshot machine activation, so could be okay. Big, maybe getting into better territory for their pricing. I guess Tabson, kind of affordable. I don't think Rigon's really worth it. Sirison, maybe, but we know what he's like when it comes to LAN. Nine Pandas, my beloveds. I love this team, and I think you can't go wrong with any of these players. I think that Glowing stands out as maybe the best value. I think he's been performing really well lately. And again, same price as Kixan, right? So Glowing, good choice. Shelfie, quite decent as well as a fragging IGL. And then even I Disbalance, I do think he's the riskiest, but he's also incredibly cheap. So if my bet is right about this team, he could be a decent budget. Certainly better than Lackey or Norway, that's for sure. My stocks in Aurora are incredibly low. I loved this team at the start of the year, but they have just fallen off a cliff after Melbourne. NIP, this is not the real NIP, and even if it was, I would still feel the same, that you're crazy to draft them. Passion your way, I think you're going Jambo or you're going home. Fear's actually quite good. I will say Fear's pretty good, but again, I think this team is a little too new to LAN to have the faith in. Versace, good value across the board. I feel Lucky is obviously the standout. I wouldn't touch Iceberg, but yeah, it's a tough deal to make. But if you wanted to grab one for budget, you definitely could. Paravision, I'd pass outside of maybe Art Frost. But again, I don't think this team makes it through. But Art Frost could still frag out. Is he better than Glowing? I don't think so, because I think Nine Pandas have a better chance of getting through. And TSM, again, my stocks in this team very low, so I would pass. So let's talk draft. All 5 G2 players are in the most picked, so I'm going to skip them, and instead I'm going to ground myself in a Tunnel Fire. I'm going to grab Bacardia and Maja. I know this is like the next most picked combo, but the value is just insane. And then I'm going back to my bestie of old. I'm grabbing Zontix. It's finally time. He's going to pop off here. But I also need a little bit more horsepower. I need someone with a bit of kick to them. I'm grabbing Nertz. Heroic, going to be slept on here, and I think Nertz is going to be a top 3 performer from this RMR. Means I need a little budget pick, and so I'm going to grab Disbalance. This is the riskiest part of the draft, but I have a lot of faith in Nine Pandas. I think that there's a lot of firepower in this draft. The floor is high. I think Maja is maybe the only player that could bottom out here. Disbalance obviously is a risk, but again, we believe in Nine Pandas. This is my draft. No G2. Is it crazy? I'm not sure. Let me know how you did in Group A or how you're doing. Let me know what your Group B looks like. And remember, don't pick snacks.